Now it's recording. Okay.
Okay, I think it's on now. Okay.
Yes, it's recording.
Okay. So today we'll be looking at chapter 11, which is Windows configuration. I don't know if you can see my slide.
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So we'll go straight to the objective. We're going to be looking at Windows Desktop and File Explorer, under which we'll consider the Windows Desktop, and we'll be looking at how to compare versions of Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and 10, and then look at the features of the Windows Desktop, how to use them. We're going to look at also the usage of Windows Task Manager to manage running processes and services. Use File Explorer to manage files, folders, and applications. Also, we'll configure Windows using control panels, under which we will consider the following: Microsoft Windows Control Panel utilities. We'll look at user accounts, configuration of user accounts with control panels, configure internet and network connectivity using control panels, configure Windows display settings, use system and power options control panels, use hardware and sound control panels. We'll look at how to use the clock, region, language control panels or settings to configure a computer for location. We'll also look at the program, that's the usage of programs and features of control panel to manage Windows software, and then be able to explain how the Windows troubleshooting control panel to investigate system issues. Okay, and look at system administration. We'll look at Windows, how to use Windows tools and utilities to manage Windows systems, under which we'll manage system resources with Microsoft Windows utilities. We'll look at Microsoft Windows utilities to manage system operation. We'll manage system volume storage with Microsoft Windows utilities. We'll manage software applications. So we'll also look at command line tools, under which we'll consider use Microsoft Windows command line tools. That will come with a number of items here, which is to how to use the Windows command window CLI, which is a command line interface. Use file command line interface commands to work with Windows file system. Use Dix command line command, that is use Dix CLI, which is a command line interface to work with Windows tags. And then how to use tags and system command line interface command to control Windows operation, and then use other CLI commands to accomplish Windows tags. And then we'll consider Windows networking, and that we'll look at how to configure Windows computer to work on the network. And if we're doing that, we're also considering Windows computer to share resources, how to share resources on the network. Look at how to configure local resources to be shared with other network users. We'll also consider wired network interfaces with Windows to configure wireless network interface in Windows. And then we'll look at Windows applications to access remote computers, use remote Windows as remote desktop and remote assistants to work with remote computers. And then finally we'll consider common preventive maintenance techniques for operating system. Use common preventive maintenance techniques for Microsoft Windows operating system. That will also perform preventive maintenance on the computer using Microsoft Windows tools. Will perform system restore procedure. So invariably, we're going to be exploring the Windows operating system from the angle of Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and 10, and then see how the Windows operating system can be configured wirelessly to be able to work with network on the wireless and wired network. And then we'll look at basic troubleshooting process for Windows. And that which we'll consider the 6 steps of troubleshooting, which we have considered in the past, and then describe common problems and solutions related to Microsoft Windows operating system, and then troubleshoot advanced Windows operating system. So let's start with the Windows Desktop and File Explorer. So this is Windows version. You can see since 1985, there have been over 25 versions of Windows. I mean, that's a whole lot of so a lot of changes have come alongside with the Windows operating system. Windows comes in 32-bit or 64-bit edition, and so it depends on which you have, and then be sure whether it's a 62, 64-bit or 32-bit. Let's look at comparing Windows version. Here we'll be considering the release of that's Windows 7. So released in October 2009, Windows 7 was quite successful at the point when it was deployed. It was like the wow then, because so many changes actually took place in Windows 7 that were previously not in the old version. So offered improvement to the interface performance, which was quite, and File Explorer, including the first appearance of libraries and home group file sharing. Microsoft offers extended support for Windows 7 up till January of 2020. So you can see here that it's just last year that the support is withdrawn. But so far, that tells you how far the Microsoft has gone with Windows 7. So Windows 8 is released in October 2012, talking about quite 9 years ago. Windows 8 included a major revision in the Windows interface. Windows 8 was designed to be more compatible with touchscreen, tablets, and mobile devices. The interface changes were unpopular and made it difficult for some users to actually learn. So there were a whole lot of transformation that took place in Windows 8, and then we got the Windows 8.1. Which was also released in October 2013. And the 8.1 included a start screen familiar to users and a full start menu button in the taskbar. It included new functionalities and area configuration options for the desktop GUI interface. And so we can see here with the Windows 10, so we've seen when the Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, and now we're looking at when Windows 10 is released. So look at the Windows 10, offers a return to a desktop-oriented interface. Here you can see that Windows 10 supports universal apps that run on desktop and mobile devices. Windows 10 introduced the Microsoft Edge web browser. So the Microsoft web browser actually is more compatible with the Windows 10. Charms were replaced with Windows Action Center with notification and quick settings. New update model with future update twice yearly and quality of cumulative updates monthly. So Windows 10 actually came with a whole lot of changes. And then, so you can see here from the trend, you can see that a lot of apps actually could run on this Windows 10. Some of them by default, you don't really need to install any third driver. So let's actually look at the Windows desktop. So we start with the Windows 7. The Windows 7 has a default theme named Aero. So by default, that is the theme for Windows 7. Windows 7 version and above have the following features. Shake, the shake which minimize all windows not being used by clicking and shaking the window. Okay, and then the peek, which also view the desktop icons that are behind open windows by placing your console over the show desktop button found at the right edge. And each time you do that at the right edge, like you see here, that's for the Windows 7. It begins to display each of, so it's called the peek. And then the snap resize a window by dragging it to one of the edges of the screen. So then far back to Windows 7, you can actually drag it to the far back end. So it's called the snap. Users can place gadgets on the desktop. So gadgets are small applications such as games, sticky notes, a calendar, or a clock that you actually move around the desktop. They are called the gadget. Then for the Windows 8, the desktop actually looks this way. Tiles on the start screen, the tiles there, and desktop optimized for mobile devices. Revised Task Manager, ribbon menu on the File Explorer. That's what you get to the File Explorer, and then the Windows Defender native antivirus, which actually come by default with the Windows 8. I think this is common with Windows 8, 8.1, and maybe Windows 10. You have the default Windows Defender. So I think this is Microsoft's own default antivirus. Charms bar of 5 icons accessed by placing the console in the upper right corner that you can see at the far right upper corner. The screen, sweeping your finger in from the right side of the screen on the touch screen, so we can actually see this here. And then for the Windows 8.1, desktop interface includes task bar, start button, which you can see with the Windows icon at the bottom, pin program icons. Clicking the start display the start screen that is very similar to the Windows 8 start screen. So personalizing the Windows desktop. So here we can actually personalize the Windows desktop. The themes are faster way to change the look and feel of the Windows GUI. Okay, and so if you can look at the themes here, is actually you can actually switch over from one theme to the other. The apps environment, so desktop start screen. The start screen has the tiles, which is to click and drag the tiles to rearrange them the order in which you want, and the start screen by right clicking the desktop Windows app and select pin to start. And then you also search, you start typing the name of the app to auto search for the information. And then personalization window, you can change the desktop appearance, display settings, and sound system. That you can actually change from here. You can personalize the window to different backgrounds of colors you may wish, and then also change the sound system. So all that can be done from the appearance desktop. So once you click on the search and you click on appearance and personalization, and this will display immediately for you to start making changes. So there's a need to watch the video so that we can actually confirm the functionality of all what we said here. And in the Windows 10 startup menu, some of us actually using Windows 10. So we agree with what we can see on the screen here, that application in alphabetical order, we see it arranged in that order of the alphabet of A, B in that order, and then shortcuts to command libraries, so that you can see the shortcut command libraries on your left hand corner. You see. So if you use Windows 10, you'll see all everything is arranged in that alphabetical order. So the Windows 8.1, 8.0 start menu. So you can see the start menu for both 8.1 and 8.0. So for the Windows 7, this is the start menu, okay, and then the tax bar. You can actually go straight to the tax bar here. So the start menu display all the application installed on the computer, and the start menu also show you a list of recently opened documents and a list of elements such as search feature, help, and support. So all that display under the start menu once you click on the start menu. So to customize the start menu in Windows 7, right click on an empty section of the taskbar, in the taskbar here, an empty section, and choose properties, then start menu, and then customize for you to customize it to suit your own display. Okay. So configure Windows Desktop. In this lab, you will explore the Windows Desktop, start menu, and then taskbar. So students are actually meant to go through this procedure to see how the taskbar actually operates, and then allow to watch a video on how to use the task manager in Windows 10. Manager functions. What are the processes? So when you actually, in the instance, type Control Alt Delete, it takes you straight to your task manager. But then your task manager, you can actually look at so many processes or so many activities that run, which is one processes. You have the processes. You have a set of instructions started by the user, a program, or the operating system. So with the processes, you see what is running, all the activities or whatever that's running, you see there. And then performance, you also see performance. So you can actually do that after now and check your task manager. All these are part of the ongoing functions on the task manager. Okay, so you can see the app history, startup, users, details, and services. The services to show all available services that actually are status. So if you open like 10, 15 Windows, all that will be there. If your antivirus is running, to be there. Whatever process, so that oftentimes this takes a lot of resources. So from the task manager, you can actually stop some of the services actually to increase the speed of the system. The task manager in Windows 7. A lot of Windows 7, this is what happens. You have the application, processes, services, performance. You have the networking, users. Then that's for 7. The task manager difference in Windows 10. You see applications and processes tab have been combined in Windows 10. So what happens is that in Windows 10, you have these two combined together. And the networking tab is included with performance tab in Windows 10. So when you click on the performance tab in Windows 10, you can actually access the networking tab, which is what you have in Windows 7. So what we're saying invariably is that at the end of the day, you have all that put together. And the user tab has been enhanced in Windows 10, not only show the users that are connected, but also the resources that they are using. So the user tab also shows that. So this is actually the difference between the Windows 7 and the Windows 10. So you need to go through the lab. And then the File Explorer. The File Explorer is used for file management in Windows 8 and Windows 10. And so what happened here is that when you have the File Explorer, with Windows Explorer is used for file management. In Windows 7, so you can actually see when you go to the File Explorer, that you can also get from the search menu. You could see a whole lot of number you could do here. You could use it to navigate the file system, manage your files, folders, and subfolders. You can actually use it to manage applications and storage media, preview some types of files, which is actually makes it unique. So the next time you want to actually manage your files, folders, your applications, different storage media, all you just need to do is you on the search menu, you just type your file explorer and you're there. And then what you do straight is that you can begin to manage tabs from there. And that makes it a lot easier for you. Okay. And then we need to watch this video to actually look at the quick access to see the species libraries, how this is being managed by the file explorer, as the case may be here. Okay, and then when you do that, this is what happens for each of these functions under the file explorer. In Windows 10 and 8.1, these PC features allow you to access the various devices and drive installed in the computer, so it gives you that access. And then in Windows 7, you can also see here that in Windows 7, what it does is that it gives you the same feature, and it's called feature is called the computer. And then to open this PC, open File Explorer, and to display this feature, the PC feature by default. So I would advise that we all try this out and see the functionality of the File Explorer under the PC. It goes a long way to show us so much things we can do with it. Okay. So how to run as an administrator. So you can actually run as an administrator by right clicking and then you choose run as administrator. So each time you want to run as an administrator, probably some cases where you have 1 or 2 accounts, you can do that. And sometimes some of the programs, if you must be able to use this program, you must run as an administrator, or else some of the programs might not work. So modern operating systems improve security by only allowing users with enough permission to access the files, and then the system files. So other user files or files with elevated permissions are examples of files that could lead Windows to deny access to user. So to override this behavior and gain access to those files, you must open or execute them as a system administrator, just like I just said that you have to do if you must execute some of them. So to open or execute a file using elevated permission, right click the file and choose run as administrator as shown in the figure. Choose yes in the user account and then up you go. So the Windows libraries. So Windows library allow you to easily organize the content, including removing media, and then without actually moving the files. So you can actually keep your files wherever they are, but then help you arrange them properly. So that you can get when you go to, when you click on your start menu, you can actually access the task manager, you can access the libraries as well. And once you click on the libraries, you will get to see how you can go about arranging your files and folders. So when Windows 10 is installed, each user has 6 default libraries as shown in the figure. So these are the default libraries: camera roll, music, save pictures, videos, picture, and documents. Okay, so right click the left pane of the File Explorer window for the content menu option that can show libraries. So this is the directory structure that we have. The directory structure, when you actually look at it from, you can see the stages here. Once you click on the document, level 1, level 2. So the root level of Windows directory structure, the partition is usually labeled in drive C. So when you click on your drive C, and you click on each of these stages, it takes you down to the last level, which is level 3 here. So directories may contain additional directories called subfolders, exactly like sub-levels from the top down. And the number of nested folders is limited by the maximum length of the path to the folder. And in Windows 10, the default limit is 260 characters. Okay. The figure shows several nested folders in File Explorer along with the equivalent path. So user and system file location. So users folders. So the Windows store more of the files created by users in the users folder. Okay. And then the system folder. Most files used to run Windows OS computer are found in the folder. Yeah. And then the program files. What do you have there? This folder is used by most application installation programs to install software. So you can see here that for the user folder is for different users that are created. For the system folder is used for Windows operating system, and that will be found there. That's the files and folders that are associated with the operating systems. And then when it comes to the program files, you're looking at applications. So different applications you run. So each time you install any of the applications, it goes straight to the program files. So in the program files that you have all the applications. The next time an application is not working well, you must well trace it to the program files to be sure it is properly installed or not. And then the file extension. So files adhere to the Windows naming convention. A maximum of 255 characters is allowed for you to name a file. If it is beyond that, might not work. Characters such as slash or backslash are not allowed when you're naming a file, a folder. So either you're naming a file, you have to be careful with that. An extension of 3 or 4 letters is added to the file name to identify the file type. File names are not case sensitive, so by default, the extensions are actually hidden. Okay, so file attributes. You can see the attribute of files. The files, these are the most common file attributes. One is that the file is read-only. The file will be archived the next time that it is backed up. Okay, the file is marked as a system file, and a warning is given if attempts are made to delete or modify the file. So that you can actually get when you click on it, and then you go straight to the attributes, the file attributes. You can actually make those changes there so that you can have the benefit. For instance, like the file is marked as a system file, or warning is given if an attempt to make or delete or modify the file. That will actually prompt the user at any point in time if you're trying to make any of these changes. The file is hidden in the directory displayed as a H. So there's a need for you to watch the video to actually agree with what we just explained as well. That will add up, give us, throw more light to what we just explained. So there's going to be a lab for you to do, and you will explore and use a file explorer to navigate the Windows file system. So let's look at how to configure Windows with control panels. With the control panels, when you go straight to the control panel, you can actually go to the search, the system, and type the control panel. Bam, you're there. And so this is the setting here. So in this time, offer 2 ways to configure the operating system. So you can actually go straight to the control panel. In the control panel, you have access to all the features and functions. So system admin prefer the control panel to the setting app. I actually visit the control panel a lot. This time I want to make a lot of changes in the system. So to start the control panel, type control panel in the search box and click the control panel desktop app that appears in the system as the result. If you right click on the result, you can pin it to the start menu to make it easier to find. So in case it is not there in the start menu, once you type in control panel in your search and you right click to pin it, to appear in your start menu the next time you actually want to access it. So you can also open it from the command prompt by typing control. So your command prompt is when you drop your command line interface. Once you just type control, it brings you straight to the control panel. So the control panel views, this is how the views of the control panel actually looks like. All system, security, programs, your network, internet, hardware, sounds, ease of access, clock, and region. So it's virtually everything you have your system as regards to the operating system, which you can actually control from here. So here is what the system, each of these stands for. The system and security, view the configuration setting. That's view and configure security settings such as Windows Defender Firewall. So you can actually configure the setting of the Windows Defender. Like I said, Windows Defender is Microsoft's own antivirus that comes by default with your operating system. Network and the internet. So you configure, verify, and troubleshoot networking and file. Then hardware and sound, configure devices such as printers, media devices, power and mobility. Then your programs. For your program, you change, install programs and Windows Update, including removal. The user account, administer Windows user account and user account account control that you can do on that user account. Then ease of access is to access options that make Windows easier to use, especially for people who require accommodations for physical or perceptual challenges. And then clock and region, you can actually configure time and date settings for different formats and regions. And appearance and personalization, configure tax. You configure the tax bar and navigation, so the file explorer and available fonts. And here's the lab, control panel category, so we need to watch the lab. And then this is the user account. This is how we create the user account. So each time you click on go to control panel, you go to user account, and here you can actually do a whole lot of, you can have the administrator account created, you can create another user account, you can have what we call standard user account, which helps you to manage the most confidential settings and don't affect other users. That's for the standard user, and then you have the standard user account can only access their own files and folders. So some of the features of the user account utility require administrative privileges and will not be accessible with standard user account. So invariably, under the user account, these are the things that you can actually do. And then the user account control settings, you can actually do some control on the user account settings. Okay, so we need to watch the video, and then it is a credential manager, which helps to manage passwords that are used for website and Windows applications. So when you go straight to the credential manager, you can actually manage your password. And this password and username are stored in a secure location. So you can view, add, edit, or delete the credentials that are stored by credential manager. But you can only do this through the administrative accounts. So web credentials are not safe for site accessed by browsers other than Internet Explorer and Edge. So because Internet Explorer and Edge actually are Microsoft's own browsers. And then this is synchronization center. The Sync Center allows files to be edited from multiple windows. So the Sync Center allows a form of revision and control. So here you can actually set up new sync partnership. You can actually do this in order to be able to set up a local file location that will store the files to be what synchronized. So it also requires you to start up a sync partnership with a networked file location. And all this is more or less trying to synchronize with other file systems in your desktop. So the files can be synchronized manually, and synchronization can also be scheduled to occur automatically. Microsoft OneDrive offers a similar service. OneDrive is a cloud storage service that is available to Microsoft Windows users. So you could have you synchronize your system with it such that you can actually back up or access one or two resources from that location. So here's the network settings. So network status app in Windows 10, combining different functions into a high-level app, as you can see. Status app links to various other settings app screens. It also links the control panel items like the network and sharing center. So once you click on the network settings, you can actually do a whole lot of settings on the network. You can access the platform where you work on the Wi-Fi. You can do dial-up. You can do VPN. You can do airplane mode, mobile hotspot. You can actually look at the data usage and then look at if there's some kind of proxy network or so. All that you can do under the network setting. So this is the internet option. This is actually where you can work on your internet to be so that already you reconfigure it for IPv4, IPv6, and then you look at the security, the privacy, connection types, and all of that. So here under internet options, you can do that. And remember, you have to go to the control panel to access the network, and then under which you get your internet option. Still on the internet option, like I said here, you can actually now configure it for IPv4 and IPv6. So here we have the home group. So you can actually still on the network, you put all the systems in home group. So the internet to make networking in the home easier by running a minimum of configuration. So you can share library folders on the network, making it easy for other devices to access music videos once they are the same home group. So users would need home group password in order to join the home group and access shared resources. So you put all of them in the same home group with a password account that creates some level of authentication for them to be able to access. So home groups are used in Windows 7, 8, but Microsoft has been phasing out the home group functionality. So in Windows 8.1, home groups cannot be created. However, Windows 8.1 computers can join existing home group. So in newer version of Windows 10, version 1803 and higher, home group functionality is not available. So we only have home group available for Windows 7 and below, and also 8. And then as we advance to 8.1 and 10, that function actually be removed. So before now, I remember far back then, we used to put systems on the same home group, so that we can share resources among them. Okay. So you need to watch the video to have an idea. So this is display settings. So we're looking at display settings on the control panel. The Windows 10 display settings are reached by clicking on an empty area of the desktop. So you can see that, and then you click display, and then that takes you to the display settings. You can actually make some changes here based on the resolution you want. Okay, and then you can adjust it. You just look at the display, the screen resolution, orientation, refresh rate, display colors, and multiple display. So you look at the power options, another power option, control panel. You can change the power consumption of certain devices or entire computer. So this you can do under power options, and then this is settings for the power options. Remember, all this you can access from the control panel. So you choose what the power buttons to do, choose what closing the lid does, and then create a power button. Choose when to turn off the display, change when the computer and sleep. So the power of option actions. If users do not want to completely shut down a computer, the following option may be available. Do nothing so the computer continues to run at full power. But remember, when you do that, that actually brings in fear and wear on the system when it's not being used and allowed to run without being shut down. The failure rate of the course will be high. And sleep, document, application, and state of the OS are saved in RAM when you allow it, and this allows the computer to power on quickly. You hibernate, and when you hibernate, document and applications and the state of the OS are saved to a temporary file on the hard drive. With this option, the computer takes a little longer or to no power. On then the sleep state that does not use any power in the long run. To turn off the display, the computer operates at full power. Display is turned off, so shut down the computer completely. So you can actually put the computer in any of its power mode based on the need, but then If you're not using it, you can hibernate or you turn it off or you shut down. It is a control panel, system control panel for Windows 10. And then system properties, you can give it a name, hardware, advanced system protection, and remote. And this you can actually see from here, that's system properties. And then still the power increasing performance, you can actually to enhance the performance of the OS, you can change the virtual memory configuration setting as shown in the figure. That is under system properties. When you click on system properties, you can actually access the performance option here. This way is much slower than accessing RAM directly. If a computer has a full amount of RAM, consider purchasing additional RAM to enhance the performance. Another form of virtual memory is the use of an external flash device and Windows Ready Boost to enhance system. So this lab to manage virtual memory. And then here we have the device manager. Okay, so the device manager is actually display list of all the devices installed in the computer. And when you go to this PC of your system, maybe you go to the and then you right click on it and you click on device manager. From device manager, all the list of drivers or devices you have will display. And then device manager utility uses icons to indicate the type of problems that may exist. Sometimes it gives you an orange color, an amber color, sometimes it gives a warning. So we're saying that looks at the devices and the meaning here. So you can see from here, this device has an error whenever you see something like this. And then the device is disabled when it's something like that. So this icon gives a guide each time a particular device is disabled, one or two reasons, and then like the last one here, this is not a problem code. It means that a driver has been manually rather than what automatically what installed for the device. So you can see each of these icons represent the behavior of that device under this on the device manager. So it's appropriate that we, as much as possible, get familiar with this icon so that each time we go to device manager, we're going to tell whether there's a problem or not. So device and printing under the hardware and sound control. So device display in the device and printers control panel. When you display, you can see them. If there's any issue with any of them, it also show you a sign. So in most cases, like device and printers allows you to quickly add a new device to the computer. So you can add from what you can see here under device and printers. That means when you go to the control panel and you access device and printers, you can add new device by just typing the name of the device, then you're good to go. And then also for sound, when you go to the control panel, you access the sound, and then you can actually make some settings as well. For example, you can change the email notification sound from a beep to a chiming sound, all of that. So you can actually make some changes here to give exactly what you want. Then the clock. So you can also go to clock and region. These are different menus under the control panel. So here under the clock, you can change the time and the setting. Then the region as well, you can do that. The language, then watch the video to see. So we have programs and features under control panel. So when you click on program features, you can see all your programs that are running. And then see the one you want to stop, and the one you want to manually install, all of that. So Windows features and updates. So here are the Windows features. You can actually select features to update under window, under programs and features. So you can actually select from there and then click OK to start the update. Then the default programs. Still under the programs and features, the next you can actually click on default programs. And then that brings you to the default program control panel, provides the means to configure the way that Windows handles files and applications that are used to work with them. So example, if you have multiple web browsers installed, you can choose which web browser will open to view a link that you have clicked on in an email or other file. So that you can actually interchange the web browsers based on which one you want it to work at every point in time. Okay, so troubleshooting. The troubleshooting control panel, actually the troubleshooting on the control panel has a number of built-in scripts that are used to identify and solve problems with many Windows components. So still, once you click on the troubleshooting, the script runs automatically and can be configured to automatically make the changes to fix the problem automatically, or you can do that manually in some cases. You can also review when the troubleshooting scripts have been run in the past by using the view history field. So these all come under troubleshooting. Then you have the BitLocker driver encryption, still under the other control panels. This is for security as well. So the BitLocker is a service provided with Windows that will encrypt an entire volume of disk data so that it cannot be read by unauthorized parties. So data can be lost if your computer or disk drives are stolen. In addition, when the computer is taken out of service, BitLocker can help ensure that the hard drive cannot be read when it has been removed from the computer and scrapped. So the BitLocker control panel icon enables you to control the way BitLocker operates. This is actually a security service which is built to actually help us encrypt our information on the hard drive. So yes, for File Explorer and folder options. So the File Explorer option in Windows 10 permits changing a variety of settings regarding the way files are displayed in Windows Explorer or File Explorer. So here you can actually make a lot of changes under the File Explorer options. You can see here, you can see open each folder in the same window. You can see open each folder in its own window. So these are actually changes you can make here. You can actually go to the set to search a folder. You can actually click items as follows. That single click to open an item, point to select. So these are actually options that can be explored under the File Explorer using the folder. So let's look at the system administration. System administration. Administrative tools, control panel, and items. So here, the administrative tools control panel item is a collection of tools that are used to monitor and configure Windows operations. So the control panel item has evolved over time. In Windows 7, it was somewhat limited. Microsoft added many different utilities in Windows 8.1, but in Windows 10, the available tools change slightly. So the administrative tools control panel is usually in that it is a collection of shortcuts to applications. So in summary, this is actually providing you shortcuts to all the applications. Looking at the administrative tools. So the computer management here, one of the administrative tools item is the computer management. It allows you to manage many aspects of your computer and remote computers in one tool. So the computer management console provides access to 3 groups of utilities. And so you can see here your system tools, storage, services, and applications under computer management. So with this, you can actually manage your computer. You can connect from one system remotely to access other systems. I think this is where you can actually do a whole lot of. So let's see, you can actually click under the administrative tools. You have what we call the event viewer. So the event viewer allows you viewing the history of application security, Windows system events that happen over time. Windows logs many events by their type or level. So you can see here displayed based on the information, warning, error, critical, successful lead, failure audit. It gives you the behavior of what actually is happening with the system. So in terms of information, a successful event, a driver or program has experienced So you display that information for you to see. And then when you display one indication of a potential problem with a software component. So under event viewer, it's more like event manager. It will display all the event situations. You have what we call the local user and the group users. The local users and group provides an efficient way of managing users. So you can create new users and assign those users to membership in group. In other words, you have different groups and then you assign users to each of those groups. So Windows provides default user account and groups to make managing users easier. You have the administrators, you have the guests, and then you have the user account. In case of Microsoft Server 2012, 2016, you have the power user group. You have, so you can actually assign users to each of these levels to be able to have certain level of access, depending on the restrictions that have been created. So performance monitor under administrative tools. So the performance monitor is different from the performance information that is available through task manager resources. But here, what happens is that the purpose of the performance monitor administrative tool is the creation of detailed custom reports from very specific counters. So here you can display based on different features. Maybe the usage of the processor and at what point the peak hours, peak of activities, and then it gives you a kind of a demographic view of what is happening within the system. And then we have the component services and data sources. So the component service is an administrative tool used by administrators and developers to deploy, configure, and manage component object model. And then this computer object model is a way to allow the use of software component in distribution environments such as in enterprise, internet, and intranet applications, and so on. Okay, so there are services. The services are administrative tools. So services console, but a service is a type of application that runs in the background of our system. Of course, there are so many of them. So to reduce security risks, only start the necessary services, so you don't have it taking up most of your memories and all of that. Okay. And then there's the data sources. So data sources is a tool used by users to add, remove, or manage data sources using open database. This is also one of the functions of your administrative tools. So here you can actually add or you remove or you manage. That's a Microsoft environment. Remember the essence of this configuring the Windows operating system is for you to be able to have access to be able to maneuver your network resources, your data resources, your power resources, everything that has a function or probably a behavior in the system can be properly managed with the help of the operating system. So here in this case, it's for you to manage your data from the back end. And then print management is also in that provides a detailed view of all the printers that are available on the computer, and then be able to see how you can manage them as well. And then here we have the Windows Memory Diagnostic. So the Windows Memory Diagnostic tool schedules a memory test that will be executed when the computer starts. So it does the test to see there are issues. It can be configured to automatically restart the computer or execute the test the next time the computer starts. Okay. So the type of diagnostics we run can be configured by pressing F1 from the diagnostic as it runs as shown in the figure. So the result of the test can be viewed by finding the memory diagnostic test result in the Windows log folder or in event viewer to be able to check. So the way of just diagnosing the system to see if there are issues with the system. We need to watch the video and then the system information. This we mentioned before. Here we're looking at it under system utilities. So an user can use the system information tool to collect and display information about local and remote computers. So here the system information tools is assigned to quickly find information about software, drivers, hardware, configuration, and computer components. Okay, so this is how you configure system configuration. Uh, the MS config is a tool used to identify problems that keep Windows from starting correctly. Sometimes you can actually use this to see some of the viruses that might be stopping your system from actually behaving well, and you can actually remove them and then always you remove or delete them from your system. So general display, normal setup, you can choose the OS version to boot if more than one is present. Also look at the services, startup, and the tool. So all system configuration you can actually do a whole lot of. But remember, if you type your MS config on your search, it takes you there. And here is the registry. So every setting in Windows is stored in registry. So registry is the memory. So when user makes changes, the changes are stored in the registry. So registry consists of hierarchical arrangement keys and sub keys represented as a tree. So levels of the sub key tree can be display nested, can be deeply nested with a maximum of 512 level permitted. So the registry is more of memory locations where information actually being archived. Okay, so the registry editor allows an administrator to view or make changes to Windows registry, but you have to be careful when you're doing this. Using the registry editor utility incorrectly could cause hardware application or OS problems, so including having to reinstall the OS. So you have to be very careful. So when you use it incorrectly, that can actually have some consequences on the hardware. So Microsoft Management Console is an application that allows the creation of custom management consoles for collection of utilities and tools from Microsoft or other sources. Okay, so when initially opened, the console is empty. Utilities and tools known as snap-ins can be added to the console. So you can also add web page links, tags, ActiveX controls, and folders under this console. So the console is more or less like a control point of some of these services. So the console can be saved and reopened when needed. It allows the construction of management consoles for specific purposes. So the figure shows a newly empty console with the dialog box for selecting and adding snap. Here the DX Direct and for DirectX diagnostic tools. See under system utilities, the display details for all DirectX. So component and drivers that are installed in the computer are shown in the figure. So you can see those are installed. It runs on a search or from the command line. The DirectX is software environment and interface for multimedia application, especially games. It defines interfaces for the 2D, 3D graphics, your audio, your medium encoders and decoders, etc. And so that's all of the utilities, system utilities we have that can actually review all these components in terms of their interface appearance, 2D and 3D and all of that. So here's the lab, system utilities. You need to watch this video, very important. And then this is disk management utility. Can be open, right click this PC or computer and select manage. So once you go to this PC and then you right click, you can actually manage the utility here. You can actually fragment the hard disk. You can actually create a disk fragmentation where it gives you the opportunity to reassign certain portion of the hard drive and be able to save more information. So in addition to extending and shrinking partitions, you can also use a disk management utility to complete the following tasks. You view drive status, you assign or change drive latest, you add drives, you add arrays, you designate the active partition. This is quite useful. It's useful, also useful in your server. When you have robust server, you can do whole lots of adding arrays for add more hard drives. Um, and then, it helps to set up a RAID system, and then also help you to create new partitions on your existing hard drive. So the drive status, so the disk manager utility display the status of each disk. The drives display one of the following conditions: as a foreign dynamic disk that has been moved from one another computer running the Windows, and they also look at the healthiness of the system, and then initializing, that's a basic disk that is being converted into a dynamic disk. So this is actually the status, and then you could do a whole lot of here, but then the more you can, I think, that which will give you more advantage, you can actually view all of these metrics here, like the missing, not initialized, online errors, offline, reachable. So all of that, you can actually check their status using the disk management. Okay. And then mounting the drive. Mounting the drive refers to making a disk image file readable as a drive. So the ISO files can have their content written into a disk. They can also be mounted on virtual drives. So to mount an image, open File Explorer, select an ISO file. The ribbon, select the management menu under disk image tools and select mount. The ISO file will be mounted as a removable media drive. This is actually very important. It's used a lot. Remember the ISO file, this file I can actually burn on your drives and maybe your DVD drive and the rest of them disks. So the drive is an ISO image mounted as a volume. You can also create a mount point which is similar to a shortcut. These are actually live applications that are in the ISO format. So you can create a mount point that makes an entire drive appear as a folder using that function. So here, adding arrays, so you can add arrays of drives under the disk management, and then disk optimization. So to maintain and optimize the disk usage, you can actually optimize disk storage here. Use various tools within Windows. So a disk decrementer gathers the non-contiguous data into one place, making the OS run faster. Do not perform disk differentiation on SSD, so you can only do that on your maybe standard drive. SSD is optimized by their own controller and firmware, so you need to note this difference. Okay. So this is disk error checking. So you can actually check for errors on your disk to be sure if it's fine, and run this test to be able to see the bad sectors. Remember your disk drive or your disk actually is made of memories, so sometimes you can have some bad memories, and with this you can check those error and then correct them. So Windows will help you do some check and correct. So this is lab hard drive maintenance. Needed to look into. So system requirement. So before purchasing or attempting to install an application, you should verify the system requirement in terms of the processor speed, high RAM, operating system version, hard disk space, software dependency, you need to look at the graphics and display, and then the network access, if any. So that's system requirements, the installation method. Most applications use an automatic installation process when the application disk is inserted in the optical drive. So the user is required to click through the installation wizard and provide information when requested. So it depends on the kind of application you're installing. Okay. So in some applications, so local installation can occur from the hard drive your CD, your USB. So you can actually have some executable files that can run. And some also will run when you actually load up more parties and the rest of them. So we have to now be able to know what we're using to install from any of the media. Okay, so compatible mode. Older applications may not run properly on newer Windows operating system. So we have to note that. And then if older software is not running properly, locate the executable file for the application. This can be done by right clicking or shortcut for the application and selecting the open file location to be able to view it. So right click on the executable file and choose properties. So from the compatibility tab, you want to know if it's compatible or not, and be able to troubleshoot or manually configure it and see if you can run it. So what we're saying is that you need to be sure that the software is compatible. So installing or changing a program, you can actually uninstall or you change the program. Sometimes you right click on it, sometimes you go to the control panel, you click on uninstall and you're able to take them off. So we need to look at the install tab part of software to let's look at the command line interface. Command line tools. One of them is the PowerShell. So the older Windows command line application was replaced in the Windows Power User menu. That's a Win plus X with PowerShell. So with the PowerShell, so you can be able to have some advanced features and be able to run some scripts, possibly, and do some some tasks. So the original command line still exists in Windows 10 and can be opened by typing CMD into the search field on the task bar. You can also change which command line is displayed in the menu by changing the task setting. So the PowerShell is a more powerful command line utility. It offers advanced features such as scripting and automation. It comes with its own scripting development environment called the PowerShell. So still like the command line, the here gives you the ability to run some script. Here's a command line interface. To open the command line, you just type CMD in the program from your startup menu under your search box, and then press Ctrl Shift Enter to run the command line from the administrator. All commonly used commands are supported by Windows 7, 8, and 10. And then here you can see the different commands you can use in the command line interface. You need to watch this video, that work. Then let's look at the command syntax convention. The many conventions used by Microsoft for command line interface. Command line commands are summarized in the figure. So we can see them here. Text without braces or brackets or braces must be typed exactly as shown. So here we have the two wildcards that can be used. The Windows command line are what they are stairs. It's a common command line wildcards we need to look out for. So the character matches groups of characters including entire file names and file extensions. So the question mark, this character stands for any single character. It does not stand for a group of characters. So these are only command syntax. These are syntaxes that are common with the command line. So file system navigation. So for you to go to navigate on the file system with the command line, you can see dir to display the directory and cd to change directory. So these are some of the commands you use to check for directories and then to make changes. So you can actually try this out and see how they function. So manipulating folders on the command line, you type md to make directory, type rd to remove directory, type move to move a file, and then type ren to rename the directory. So we can try this out and see how this command line works. So right there, we try them out for each of them, work with them and see. These are some of the useful command line. This is where you type CMD on your search box to be able to access the command line. And then the Windows networking. We'll talk about the domain and work group. Remember we said the work group actually works well with Windows 7. But as it advances, Microsoft removed this function, even though it's still there, but you have it more working best with Windows 7 and lesser version. So a domain is a group of computers and electronic devices with a common set of rules and procedures. So you can have a domain name and then a work group. Like I said, all this is to bring the system under one administrative control. So this is the home group video to watch. So network shares and mapping drives. You can actually do network file sharing and mapping network drives. Secure and convenient way to provide easy access to network. So permission define the type of access the user has to a file or folder. So you can read, change, and do follow control. Another administrative shares, also called hidden shares, and identify with a $sign at the end of the share name. So by default, Windows creates several hidden administrative shares. So these include the root folder of any local drives, and the system folder, and the print driver folder. So the administrative shares are hidden from users and only accessible by members of the local administrators group. So the figure shows those shares in Windows 10, and note that the $sign after each shared name, making them hidden shares. So it's only visible for people under the same administrative group. This is sharing local resources, so you can actually do this here. Once you go to advanced sharing on the network, you can actually share printer, you can turn off file sharing, access the same file from 2 or more systems. You can actually allow 2 systems to be able to share resources without restriction. So all that come under the local sharing and local resources. So same thing for printer sharing. We need to watch this video to see how these resources are shared. And then here is to configure wired and configuring wired network interface. Interface is in Windows 10. And so when you go to network connection, you can actually click on it to view the wire network. And remember, you can assign it manually or make it dynamically. Manually means you assign the IP address with the help of the NIC drive, and then you're good to go. Or dynamically by using the DHCP server, so that they can acquire IP address of IPv4 or the IPv6. So here you can set up the network profile. You can tell whether it's private or public. Verify connectivity using the GUI to see if there's connectivity between 2 systems. Okay. And then you can also use ipconfig command to be able to view the detailed information of the system. Then use renew to refresh the ipconfig. You can also use display DNS, flush DNS, and all you can do ipconfig/all. That will show you the IP address, the MAC address, to also show you the DNS IP address. This command is quite strong, so we need to note it down, very important in networking. So the network command line, you can ping to test connectivity by sending what we call an echo with the aid of ICMP, which is the Internet Control Message Protocol. You can do a traceroute to be able to check the source and then NS lookup for DNS services. Okay, so watch video to see. And it's wireless settings. In wireless settings, you need to look at different settings and maybe configure some security type. You can do no notification, so people can connect directly without any password requirement. You can use web. You can use WPA to you can use WPA to enterprise. So any of these actually different types of wireless resources. So you need to watch them out. And then there's a VPN access in Windows. What is a VPN? The VPN is a private network that connects remote sites or users together over a public network like your internet. It's a public network, so you can actually have an end-to-end data encryption through a kind of an internet connection, but through a public network as well. So you can telnet by remotely connecting to other systems using the telnet, but the telnet now secure the SSH. So the SSH is the secure part of telnet. So you can use packet tracer using the telnet and SSH. So in this class, I actually demonstrate for us how you can actually telnet to any remote system. Telnet actually on the command line, you just type telnet, you put the IP address of the remote system, and off you go. So we need to watch this video. So let's look at some of the common preventive maintenance techniques for operating systems. So you need to do some Windows updates if you want to make sure you boost the immunity of your system so that every files, every operating system codes are well immune, stronger. You need to do update. So you need to watch the video and you need to schedule a task using the GUI or at the command line. Now the GUI is the graphical user interface. And then you also do restore point for backup and restore. These are some of the ways to actually maintain or prevent reoccurrences. So you restore to previous state that you know it's been working, and then you're good to go. So for the hard drive backup, same thing here. You can schedule backup on the hard drive. There's backup for you to watch this video. And then applying troubleshooting process to Windows operating system. So you can actually apply troubleshooting process, which is the identify a problem, establish a theory of probable cause. We test that theory, establish a plan of action, we verify the system functionality and application. Once that is done, then we document our findings and outcomes. So here is how we identify the problem. Open-ended question that we have looked at severally what problems are having. Are you having what operating system is installed on the computer? What update have you performed lately? If you haven't done that, it could be a problem. So these are open-ended questions that tell us all the challenges that have been faced. So we need to go through each this test processes is actually similar to the hardware, the networking, and all of that. So in this case, these address specific software with operating system issues. And once you walk through that, I think you'll be good to go. So I advise that we walk through the same procedure and help us then see that these are the 6 levels of processes that have to go through to carry some basic troubleshooting. Any questions so far on this? Hello? And then we can look at a summary.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. I want to ask a question.
Oh, thank you, go
ahead. When you connect a printer to your computer, and it doesn't detect it, and meanwhile, the drivers of the printer is installed. So what is the cause for it not detecting it?
if you install the driver of the printer on the computer,
Yeah.
The question I need to ask is that there are procedures. You need to first be sure that the driver is the right driver for that particular operating system.
Yeah.
You might actually install the driver on the wrong operating system. Maybe it is not compatible. So compatibility might be an issue. It might install but not compatible. And then secondly, the cable of the printer cable connected to the system might not actually be communicating, so because there must be a communication between your system and the printer. So you might have to check the printer cable to be sure that it's actually still in working condition. And if it's not in working condition, you need to get a working one. So if you have a good working cable, and then you also make sure that the compatibility of the driver is assured, that driver is actually meant for the operating system, maybe Windows 10 or Windows 8 as the case may be. And then if you're sure that it's okay working, and then you've installed that, all you need to do is to restart the system. If you restart it and you're still having the same issues, probably the mode of installation might not be correct. Because sometimes if you're installing a printer driver, you start the installation and then they prompt you at what point to plug in the cable, the printer cable to the system and power on the printer. So if you start the installation by connecting the two devices, powering the devices, and then you're doing this, it might not work. I've encountered that severally, where the printer is on, the system is on, the cable is connected, and then you're installing the driver. That actually is out of the procedure. So the procedure for installing printer driver is that they tell you at what point in time to connect the cable. And they also let you know at what point in time to turn on the printer. So you need to know that procedure because you're installing the driver on your own PC. So when you're installing the driver, you need to follow the procedure of that installation because they must always tell you at what point to plug the cable to the printer. So you don't plug the cable to the printer from your system when you've not been asked to do so. So you plug it on it, and then you do so. You need to try out these things I've said. But before you do that, be sure that the printer cable is working, and be sure that the driver is compatible with the right operating system. I think you'll be good to do.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I've actually encountered that problem before. I have a scanner that will prompt you as to when to plug in the USB cable. Then it will continue the installation. So I just wanted to add that, and I heard you add it now.
Okay, thank you so much. And when you do that, the installation continues. If you don't, you might end up installing and then still not working.
It will not work. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for that input. Any other question, please? Marilyn, over to you.
No, not from my side.
Okay.
I guess I will, once I review the chapter, maybe I have more a question, but not by now.
Okay, I have another question.
Okay, please go ahead. Please.
Yeah. Like I was having a computer, and then like the speaker was working, the sound system was working all right. But you go to a point, and then the sound system just vanished. So I thought maybe it was the Windows. Though the Windows, they normally ask me to update the Windows, but then I wasn't updating it. So I thought maybe that was the update of the Windows that was making the sound system not to be coming. So I decided to change the Windows, and yet still the sound system is not working, and then the sound drivers are all intact.
Okay, the sound system of the computer?
Yeah.
No volume, no sound at all?
Yeah, no sound at all. But when you put the headphone or earpiece, the sound comes.
Oh, then you need to check the speaker then. If once you put the earpiece and then you can hear the sound automatically, the only issue there should be the speaker of that system. So once the speaker is changed, you'll be fine. Yeah.
No problem. No problem. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So
another thing too is
okay.
Hello. With
Yes.
the speakers, if you get to where the speaker icon is on the system tray,
Yeah.
if you click on it, most of the times it will need you to change from the headphones to the external speaker. So you might also try that; it will also work. I encountered it when we installed the Windows 10. The external speaker wasn't working, but when you go speaker icon and then you click, it will ask you to change. So you can switch the speakers, and then it will work.
Okay. That will only come in when you probably made the changes before. If by default it's meant to work with the speaker, and then probably you at one point in time change it to work with the ESN, then in this case what you're saying very correct. So I think you need to apply what he just said too. There's high possibility that you enable it to work with only the headset. You now need to go back again and untick that and check for speaker. I think that actually comes oftentimes when we plug an external driver or external speaker. So I would advise that you try out those changes. So you go to sound under the control panel. You can check the settings on that sound and then check to see if that part of the speaker is on check. If it's on check, then you check it and then try it out and see. If you see how that issue, then probably the speaker is having a problem, and then you need to. But I think you need to do that and see. And then once you do that, try to also update the driver from there. And see, because sometimes you can disable and then enable it again, and then it starts working. And that could be due to some errors. Like we said, you can do error check, and then the Windows can correct this error on its own. So I think there's a whole lot of troubleshooting skills that need to be applied here. But you can do these applications on your device manager, going straight to the speaker, going straight to the sound, and then check to see if it's actually working well. If it's working well, that's fine. Then you go to the sound settings to check if the speaker part is enabled. If it's not, you enable it. And then also check to see error. You do error check by clicking on it to allow it to automatically check for errors and correct the errors on its own. And then if you do all of this, most certainly it will work. And if it doesn't, still let me know. Maybe one of these days I could give you a link and then we could look at it together.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for today's class. I think I like the contributions and questions that have come up today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. So we meet on Tuesday. We'll be running up, like I said, next week. Marilyn, if it's fine by you, I would like to schedule a teach back section for as many instructors that are going to be available for Saturday's class. And so that we could just have some few minutes teach back for some topics. I think that will go a long way to help us. I don't know if that is fine still by us. I've said this before. So that it will help us to see how then when you teach maybe for 15 minutes, it will give us some some topics. So I could list out those topics and send to you, Marilyn, and then you can ask the instructors to choose from those topics and prepare for just 15 minutes and teach back section. So I could ask questions and you respond back and back and forth, and then we'll see if you have challenges with teaching and where you need to improve and how best to do that. I think that will go a long way to help us. This is the place where we get things right, so that when you start teaching, you already know how to go about it. So that's fine by us. I think it's okay by me. So I can prepare those topics and send to you. So yeah, okay. So see you guys on Tuesday.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thank you.